and it's just it's taking me a second to do so. I appreciate y'all coming in. Thank you so much. We just literally just got started. Hey, Michelle, peace and prosperity to you. I am trying to put a sticker up on the top of the page right now because I see people put stickers up on their lives all the time, and I'm trying to figure out how do they do it because I know it's a way to do it. So, hold on 1 second. And I'm also sharing out the live. So good to see you, Michelle. Everyone else coming in, I appreciate you. So good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Josh, I appreciate you being here as well. Hammer, thank you so much for being here. Weightlifted Nina, peace and prosperity to you, Nina Johnson. Thank you so much for being here. I am still currently trying to figure out how to put stickers up on my live, but while I'm doing so, if y'all can tap the screen and share the live, get your daily heart me's. I appreciate y'all. We're gonna be on for our goal is to be on for a whole hour tonight. I see you and Twin on at the same time. Is she? Is she? I did not know that. I did not know that. Oh, Ellie's on. I did not know that. Let me see. I could see who's all online. I might be able to invite her in. I see my brother Hawaii still on. Yep, there she go right there. Oh, how do I invite her in? We're gonna get started in a second. I really want to put a sticker up at the top of the page because I am trying to promote these community fest gifts along with the daily heart me's, but I cannot figure out how to put a sticker up there. It's crazy. Add this label to tell viewers your content. No, I don't want that. I don't want any of that. It's okay. Jarlene, Johnny, thank y'all so much for being here. Peace and prosperity to y'all. So we're gonna have to go without the stickers. I'll figure out how to do it eventually. But peace and prosperity to everyone, and thank you so much for coming in. This is the Daily Grounding Show. Hey, Martha, peace and prosperity to you. I am your host, Patah. We are out in nature with our feet barefoot on the ground as we speak, where we come out and hug the trees and tap into this loving, positive energy to share with anyone and everyone who joins us. Jimmy B, we love you. Thank you so much for being here, brother. Hey, Erica, I see you coming in. Thank you so much. Peace and prosperity to you. Hey, Carol, thank you so much for coming in. Peace and prosperity to you. I appreciate everyone coming in. It is dark. We got the sun setting in our background right over our head. The moon will be coming up soon. We're going to be on for a little while tonight, so we're giving some time for everyone who wants to come in to come in. I'm going to share out the live a few more times. Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for being here. We love you. We appreciate your love and positive energy. Thank you so much for being here, brother. Hey, White, peace and prosperity to you. Thank you so much for coming in. Peace and prosperity. We're going to get started in a few minutes. I'm just trying to give everybody time to come in. We got a nice long live tonight. We're going to be on for about an hour talking about our beautiful topic. Love and light back to you, brother. We appreciate you being here. Peace and prosperity to you. There's some fireflies out tonight. I'm going to try to catch some on the camera. There go one right there. Hold on. Oop, I ain't trying to tap my own screen. Hold on. See if I can flip the camera and catch this firefly was just over here. Oh, you can barely see it. You can barely see it. But it's a couple of fireflies over here. Lighting up the energy. You seen that, Rob? Did y'all see that? We'll probably catch them a little bit more later too. We'll definitely catch them a little bit more later as well. So thank you so much for the gifts, brother. I appreciate you. Hey, Prophet Brandon, peace and prosperity to you, brother. Thank you so much for coming in. Our main goal and message tonight is we're going to tap into the energy associated to relationships. We've talked about it a bit here and there before, expressing how when we are elevating, when we are rising, when we have set the goal of healing ourselves and bettering ourselves for ourselves, that there are obstacles that come into our way. There are different traumas that may happen or occur in association to us making that climb going up a ladder of life. Hey, Michael, peace and prosperity to you. And so that's mainly what we want to talk about tonight, because a lot of us have gone through relationships during our healing process, right? And when I say that, meaning we all have had relationships in our younger days and our younger spiritual days, meaning before we recognized, what life was about, what we wanted to achieve, before we realized who we are. We had, of course, relationships in that building process for most of us. Most of us have had those circumstances where we had those type of relationships and that type of building that was really more associated to what we have been taught versus what we knew on the inside. Michelle, I appreciate you so much. Apollo, thank you so much for coming in. Maj, thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much for being here. These type of relationships in our younger days that a lot of people call puppy love and things of that nature are usually more tied to just what we felt at the time, whether we knew ourselves or not. And so I'm not referring to those relationships, because those relationships, when we start to do the shadow work and things like that, they are easy to understand and navigate. Why we were attracted to this, why we were attracted to that. It's usually associated to something with our parents or some other loving figure in our life that we're looking to emulate. Uno Bruno, peace and prosperity to you. Thank you so much for coming in. The relationships that I am about to reference to are those relationships we start to build and we start to find during our healing process. They're usually a lot more complicated. Shara, where is Shara? Where is Shara? Thank you so much for being here, Shara. These relationships that we start to build on as we're in the healing process are usually going to have bigger implications on our life and our growth. And there's a reason for that. We're going to talk about that tonight. I want us to understand that when we have these circumstances, when we have these joint relationships, whether it is platonic, romantic, that everything that we come in contact with is meant to uplift us. It's meant to give us knowledge. It's meant to help us to grow in one way or another. Some relationships will help you grow more long term. Some will help you grow more on the short term. And we're going to get into those details on how we can use our discernment to recognize these things. How we're able to tap into ourselves and recognize the people around us who are meant to be days, the people who are meant to be seasons, and the people who are meant to be years. This is what we're going to be tapping into today. Because a lot of times we'll have these circumstances and relationships that feel like they're meant to be a season and they're only for a day. And we'll have relationships that feel like they're meant to be for years and they're only for a season. Those, of course, become even more complicated because in most cases, when we're getting into these relationships, we have to really have not just an attraction physically with this person, but we want to be able to connect with them at a high level. And by wanting to connect with them at a high level and vice versa, it opens up the door for a higher connection. It opens up the door for higher lessons. This is very important. So, using myself as an example, as always, I'm going to speak about a couple of the things that I've experienced in recent relationships since I started to have my spiritual growth spurt, as I like to call it. Hey, White, thank you so much for coming back in. We love you. We appreciate you. What I noticed in myself is that for the last year, I wouldn't even say the last year, more so all of last year, if I could put some specific dates on it, right? I noticed that I was repeatedly attracting the same woman in different form, in different energy, in a different person repeatedly. And it was an interesting thing for me because I got myself into this mode of making sure I manifested what I really wanted, what I wanted, who I wanted to spend my time with, who I wanted to spend my energy with. Hey, Willie, peace and prosperity to you. These things was important to me. I wanted to be intentional about the things I was doing, even though I had not hit a certain growth spurt that I'm able to talk about it the way I am now. I still had it in my mind that that was the type of things that I was going to welcome into my life. Only things that were intentional, only things that were going to be beneficial to me. I still did that even though those relationships didn't last. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. I want us to get into this mindset of recognizing any patterns you may already be thinking about. Hey, Zariah, peace and prosperity to you. I want us to get right now into that mindset of recognizing, well, this person I dated had this, and that person had that, and that person had that. And you can start to kind of piece together some different things about these associates that you may have dated or spent time with or even been intimate with, and start to recognize different patterns so you can recognize what lesson you were meant to gain from this type of energy, this type of person. Then when you start to realize that energy and start to realize that cycle, you can either figure out how to heal to go above and beyond the cycle, or even break the cycle. It's only up to you as far as which way you go. But being stagnant and just allowing it to repeat on cycle over and over again instead of actually healing or working through it, thank you, Kim, peace and prosperity to you, is the reason why a lot of us don't find these stable relationships as spiritual healers. It's a reason why a lot of us don't get to enjoy that side of life, and where we get so locked into our work, where we get so locked into our divine mission that we forget about love altogether. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Let me say this right now. If you are putting love out into the universe constantly, if you are constantly lifting people up, if you are constantly doing for your community, for the collective, you have to expect external love to come back to you. You have to. It's only the balance of the universe. There's no way you can imagine to be putting love and prosperity out into the world constantly, constantly healing others, constantly helping others, and not expect the universe to want to give you back the same. And not just internally, but externally as well. So now that we got that squared away, we have to understand that as well, because this is why this topic is important, is so that we can get to that next level by recognizing and understanding the things that we see repetitively are meant to teach us something. Again, using myself as an example, I was attracting, without going into details, because of course I'm a gentleman and I don't kiss and tell, right? Without going into details, what I seem to have been attracting repeatedly all through last year and some of the beginning of this year was a very fiery and passionate spiritual woman. And I gotta be clear on that too, because even though it didn't last with any of these ladies I'm referring to right now, it wasn't because of lack of chemistry or even because we weren't on the same page spiritually. It was much deeper than that. Hershey, peace and prosperity. Thank you so much for coming in. It was much deeper than that. And I was able to analyze this to recognize, like, okay, I had to learn this lesson. And in the lessons I was learning, thank you everyone so much for coming in, tapping the screen. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all getting y'all daily heart me's. We're talking about repetitive cycles in relationships right now. We're talking about how we can recognize these different lessons we're meant to learn from our partnerships so that we can break that cycle. Hey, Shara, thank you so much for the gift. Thank you so much for getting your daily heart me. I appreciate you so much. It's really important that we're talking about this because we are all healers. And as I mentioned just a few moments ago, as healers, we are meant to help the world and help the divine and ourselves, but we do deserve love. We cannot separate the two. You cannot expect to be a glorious, peaceful, prosperous person helping the entire universe and not expect external love in return. It does not work that way. You'll hear me say that repeatedly because I need to remind us. Because a lot of us, again, get too focused on our work and we push love to the side. But we can't always do that. We're missing out on lessons. We're missing out on upgrades that we need to raise ourselves to a next level. All right, and that's important. Especially if we really are about helping the community, helping the collective, helping ourselves, we need all the information we can get. We need all the downloads we can get. And it's going to be sent to us The source is going to send that information to us through other people, especially people we're attracted to, especially people we may have imagined in our mind to be our one, or we say to ourselves, I want this type of person, I want that type of person, because that's what's going to be best for me, that's what's going to be best for my growth, right? Now, with that being said, in my specific instances, I recognize I was attracting a very fiery. Okay, I gotta show y'all these fireflies real quick. I know. I'm so sorry. Y'all know I'm ADHD, but they going off. I don't even know if I can pick it up on the camera the way I want to. Oh man. Hopefully we catch some on camera in a little bit. Let me come back to my topic. I'm sorry. I can't help it. Like I'm looking at them going off as I'm walking around them right now, and it's so cool. So what I recognized in myself was that each of these fiery, passionate ladies that I was interacting with, they all were coming into my life almost the same way. Hey, Crystal Moon, peace and prosperity to you. They all were coming into my life almost the same way. Very fiery, very passionate, and passionate about my mission here on this planet. Now, for me, that's an important thing because I am very goal oriented when it comes to supplying this love and information every day for everyone. And it is, of course, important then that I have a partner, a woman who is able to not only be very loving, uplifting in regards to my journey, but also have that similar journey themselves, because it has to be reciprocity there. That's another key message for later, too. It has to be reciprocity there. Meaning, whatever you're meant to do by the divine, you want to be able to receive that love from that person and that help from that person, not sacrifice from that person in regards to that. But on the same end, you have to be able to provide that back for them. If you are not on a similar mission, if you guys are not on the same wavelength and timeline, there's no way to reciprocate that. And that's going to always force or push one or the other to have to choose between their mission and you, which I'm sure we've all had that lesson at one point in time. Hey, Sonia, thank you so much for being here. Peace and prosperity to you. I'm sure we've all had that lesson at one point in time in our lives where we had to make a choice between someone we loved and what we love to do. It should not be that way. When you start to get into that higher realms of frequency, you will do not expect it to be that way. Once you come to a certain part of your journey, you're only going to attract people who are similar in journey with you. You're only going to attract that. Heading out, love and blessings. Peace and prosperity, Crystal Moon. We love you. Thank you so much for being here. Catch this replay on YouTube later. You will love it. We're getting deep into this information, this energy associated to our relationships, associated to these cycles that a lot of us have on repeat, that we need to start either breaking the cycle or rising above these cycles. That's what we're focused on today. Hey, baby girl, thank you so much for tapping the screen. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. So, again, I recognize, and I'm just in this instance speaking about three very specific ladies because coincidentally, they all were the same sign. Hey, tic-tac-toe girl, peace and prosperity to you. All three of these ladies I'm referencing to right now were all the same sign. Birthdays was literally like days to weeks apart. They don't know each other, and they all again came into my vision, my consciousness, very similar ways. Again, they all were able to not only appreciate my passion for helping the collective, but they also had that same passion themselves. One way or another, they were providing similar services to the collective the same way I do, right? That's the major piece of my attraction to them. And of course, their major piece of attraction to me. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details about what we were attracted to and whatnot. I just want to set the tone that each of these people I'm referring to gain this lesson that I had to get, which I am hard-headed, so it took 3 tries for me to get it. Just keeping it real myself. Hopefully y'all won't be as hard-headed as me, and it won't take 3 tries for y'all to figure things out. Okay, that's what we're hoping for. That's what we're talking about this to benefit, right? So I noticed immediately in the first connection, well, the first of the 3 connections, I'm like, okay, I really like this. They really like, we really feeling each other and everything. My brother, the king, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Rose, good to see you. Peace and prosperity to you. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate y'all beautiful energy. We're talking about relationships and breaking cycles today. We're talking about recognizing as we escalate ourselves, as we elevate higher, how God will send us different people to teach us lessons. And we'll keep cycling those people in a whole different body, in a whole different shape, form, or fashion until we learn that lesson. Until we learn that lesson, we keep getting that same energy over and over again. So we're talking about this today so that we can start to break that cycle or rise above it. I appreciate you so much for being here, brother. We love you. Thank you so much. So again, in the first of the three ladies, which as I mentioned before, all three of these ladies, the same sign, very, very similar in a lot of different ways. And so I was able in the first connection to recognize like, okay, this is not a long-term thing. It is very nice, but I can recognize immediately that this is not someone who I'm meant to be with forever. This is not someone I'm meant to necessarily build with. There's a lesson to be exchanged here. I'm going to figure out that lesson. I'm going to rush to get it done so I can move on. That was a mistake. Hear me out, because I know that sounds crazy, right? Hear me out. That was a mistake. I rushed to step away. Hey, Keenan, good to see you, brother. We love you. I rushed to step away from that relationship because I recognized that it wasn't permanent, all so that I can move on to the next, make room for something better. And I missed out on the lesson because I didn't engage. Keenan, thank you so much for being here. We love you, brother. I missed out on a lesson because I wasn't able to engage, because I rushed the situation along. I'm in my mind being cocky, basically, right? Just keep it real. I was being cocky and I said to myself, okay, I peep what's going to happen. I'm going to take over. I'm going to take control. Right, exactly, King. I told myself I'm going to take control of this situation. I'm going to make it happen the way I want it to happen, and I'm going to step away from the circumstance. And all I did was run away from a lesson. I ran away from that lesson. So guess what happened? I immediately got that same person again. Hellcat, peace and prosperity to you. Thank you so much for being here. I immediately got that person again. I'm talking about not even weeks later. Hey, Layla, peace and prosperity to you. Not even weeks later, I met person number two. Again, all three of these ladies, very fiery, very passionate, beautiful ladies, right? Again, we're not talking about just chemistry here. It's important. It's important I talk about that. I can hear somebody talking about the chemistry and the communication, all those kind of things. Again, now just keeping it real. If you've been doing the healing work like we have here on this channel, Nero, thank you so much for joining as well. If you've been doing the healing work like we have, if you're constantly raising your frequency, you're constantly cleansing your energy, you're constantly being positive, you're not going to attract no bullshit. And I'm sorry to cuss, but I got to keep it real. You're just not going to attract any BS. You're just not. So that makes it, as it should be, a little bit more difficult to recognize things, because it's easy to see someone on paper and say, okay, she got this, she got that, she got this, right? So that must mean we're supposed to be together. That's everything I manifested. That's everything I wanted. It's way more complicated than that. But you're not going to even understand that if you're not engaging. You're not even going to understand those aspects of yourself that you asked for if you're not putting yourself into a vulnerable situation. That's just the truth of it. Certain things we're just not going to learn to understand internally without having the experience from the circumstance. That's just the truth of it. So I rushed the first situation because, again, I said to myself, I see what's going on here. They're just a karmic. They're not meant to, we're not meant to be together. I'm going to rush this situation away. Missed out on the lesson. Weeks later, not even months later, weeks later, another person with the same energy comes in, right? Hey, Fat Mama, we appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Another person with a very similar energy comes right in right after that, right? It's not a coincidence. that just the same way I was attracted to the first lady, I'm now attracted to this one the same way, and vice versa. So that same pull and energy is there to get my attention, to get me to engage. Well, brother, you know, we already know ain't no coincidences in this world. We already know ain't no coincidences in this world. So I'm so thankful that you're here. I'm gonna take a little sip of my water real quick because it is still hot. We're gonna be on for a while tonight, so I'm gonna be making sure I keep myself hydrated. Appreciate y'all patience with me while I'm talking. And I'm gonna try to move us around where I can get us a little bit more light too. So I just want to make sure I keep us where we got good reception. Babette, peace and prosperity to you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining the team. We love you. We appreciate you. If this is your first time here, I am your host, Patah. This is the Ground and Daily Show. And right now we are talking about relationships and breaking cycles. We're breaking cycles. And again, I'm going to keep reiterating this. We are talking about more advanced relationship tactics. What I'm talking about now is not for everybody. Not everybody has done the work. Not everybody has done the shadow work. People here right now have. People here right now can recognize when somebody's in a low frequency and stay away from them altogether. We're not talking about that type of thing. We're not talking about the crazy folks, the cheaters, the narcissists. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about the fact that we've spent the time to raise our frequency, right? And now we're attracting other high frequency, beautiful people like ourselves. So I just want to be very clear on that. So good to meet you too. We love you. Thank you so much for being here. Things always go according to plan. The master organizer. Hey, Kaylin, thank you so much for being here. And that's what we're talking about, bro. Because again, speaking about the first person, when I really originally recognized, like, okay, this person, this woman, she's wonderful, she's beautiful, she's got this and this and this and all these things I want, but I can tell she's not the one, I immediately dismissed her. I immediately dismissed her. And I missed out on an important lesson that I had to then go and repeat that lesson on Lady 2. Going back now to Lady 2. Lady 2, I want to say immediately, I did not recognize that there was going to be a problem. It took for me to kind of initiate the problem, to start leading myself down the path that God wanted me to go down in the first place with the first lady, which is to understand that there were some flaws about me that although I say that I had healed, although I had felt that I had worked through, I hadn't really done enough work on it yet. And I'm not putting myself down. We're all human. Healing has no ceiling. Y'all have seen my video about healing has no ceiling. I'll say it 100 times and it's true. 100 times it's true. Faith for life, we love you. Thank you so much for being here. Healing has no ceiling. So I'm not saying that you have to be perfect for a good relationship. That's nonsense too. That's not what we're talking about. But if you are a high frequency person and you want a high frequency relationship, there goes some light for us so y'all can actually see me. If you want a high frequency relationship, a high frequency partnership, there are certain things you have to at least address in your psyche, in your shadow work that cannot be ignored. You can't just push everything to the side. I'm going to deal with this when I get in a relationship. I'm going to deal with this when I get this amount of money. I'm going to deal with this when I get to this point in life. That's nonsense. That's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. Healing has no ceiling, brother. Absolutely. That's nonsense. It's not how it works at all. So, me again being somewhat cocky, again, I was cocky in the first situation. I dismissed this lady, missed the lesson. I go in now, weeks later, I'm building with the second lady. Very, very similar energy. The energy is still attractive to me because they're beautiful and I'm beautiful, right? So I'm not even putting myself in a mindset that I'm about to pick up on the same lesson I just missed out on because I was dismissive of it, because I was controlling, right? I'm using the words and this verbiage very intentionally because that's what it is. I wanted to control what God had in store for me. I wanted to control my lesson, how I learned it. It doesn't work that way. We have to allow ourselves to be vulnerable to learn. We have to allow ourselves to touch that fire sometimes to realize how hot it is. Deanna, peace and prosperity. Thank you so much for being here. We love you. So, again, the second lady, we're developing very well, having all type of futuristic talks and all kind of wonderful things is happening. And then I hit the wall. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for following. We love you. Everyone tapping the screen, I see y'all. Peace and prosperity. Thank you so much for being here. I hit the wall where I started to recognize, like, okay, something's wrong here with me. Something that I need to adjust, right? Coincidentally, this person didn't have that issue. So they were able to help me recognize that I had this issue. Like, hey, look, you got a problem here. You might want to deal with this because I don't have that issue. And I can work with you on your issue, but you got to do the work on yourself. Now, in the long run, because I'm still hard-headed, y'all, let me keep it real. We still ain't got to the lady 3 yet, right? We still talking about lady 2 right now. I'm still hard-headed. I'm still cocky. I'm still like, no, I got this. What? I'm a healing master. I can do this. I can figure it out. Thanks for living on purpose and with great intentions, my brother. I love you, brother. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for coming and share your prosperous, peaceful energy with us. It's always good to see you, my brother. Thank you so much for being here. So again, I'm still cocky. I'm still a little bit arrogant about my... Yes, Michelle, call me out. It's okay. Very, very Taurus-like of me. Very, very Taurus-like of me. I didn't mean to invite you, Curtis, but we thank you so much for being here. Peace and prosperity to you. Very Taurus-like of me. I'm going to keep it real. So I'm still, like, all right, well, we can work through things while I'm working through this issue. And honestly, she was all for it. Because realistically, for her, again, she had already learned this lesson. So she was able to recognize, like, okay, you know what? He is going to get through this lesson. Let's see if he's going to get through this lesson with me. Of course, I didn't get through the lesson with her. I did not get through the lesson with her at all. And thankfully, she was strong enough of a person to be like, look, you the shit, and I love you, but I got to cut you off because I can't help you with this lesson and you got to work on it on your own. Beautiful. Most perfect thing that could have happened for me in that situation. Most perfect thing that could have happened for me in that situation. I was able to take the assessment of the pain and the frustration of the circumstance because, again, if I didn't care about this person, if I wasn't fully engaged in being with her, then I might not would have picked up on the lesson altogether. Hey, Ramona, peace and prosperity to you. That's the important part here. Let's talk about that for just a second, right? Because that's really important. How much can we learn from something we don't care about? Let's keep it real. We're human, right? I know when you hear that, you want to say to yourself, the ego picks up and says, well, I understand you can learn anything from anybody and all kind of lessons life has and planned for you. Thank you so much, Ramona. I appreciate it. I love those popular votes. They definitely help to push the live out, and I really appreciate you. I gotta to get back what I was saying. I'm sorry. So all these different things about lessons come in a way for us to pay attention to it. Because if we are not attracted, if we're not engaged, how much are we going to really learn from the circumstance? If we don't think that person is beautiful, if we don't think that person is wonderful, if we don't have an attraction to them, how much are we going to really pay attention to what we need to learn for what God had in store for us in this connection in the first place? That's the truth of it. So, of course, I was bothered and disturbed that I had to disconnect from this person, especially because of my own doing. I had worked so hard to be conscious of my issues and conscious of the things I do. And so I had to go through a little bit of disappointment initially to say to myself, like, okay, you have a problem. It ain't that big of a problem, but you still need to address it. And yeah, maybe you can deal with someone who don't care about that problem. Maybe you can work with somebody who doesn't really need you to fix that. But how engaged will you be? Gotta sneeze. Sorry about that, y'all. One more time. My apologies, everybody. It's getting a little chilly. So again, it's important we understand that aspect of things. Thank you, Michelle. Dang, one more time. Okay. I'm sorry I'm sneezing in y'all ear. All right, let me get these headphones back in. My apologies. I appreciate y'all patience with me. So it's important that we understand that these lessons have to be attracted to us for us to engage. We're not going to learn the same lesson from that person we're not that interested in. That's just the truth. It's just the truth. How we learn that lesson, how that varies, that all varies per person to person. But if you are really engaging, if you're really invested in the circumstance, that's when you're the most vulnerable. That's when you're going to have the opportunity for the most